Welcome back to the Deep Dive Learner. Today we are looking at something that, well, it sounds a little dense on the surface.
Oh, definitely. It sounds like pure legalese.
Right. But secretly, it is absolutely fascinating. We're talking about the world of real estate trusts.
Yeah, which is a surprisingly powerful tool.
It really is. So we are pulling from the Homeowner's Guide to Real Estate Trusts. And our mission for you today is to basically cut through all that dense jargon.
Exactly. We want to get to the core of it.
Because uncovering how a trust works might just be the ultimate shortcut to protecting your biggest asset and, saving your family a massive headache down the line.
A huge headache. I mean, the traditional way we view property ownership is totally turned on its head here.
Okay, let's unpack this. Instead of thinking of a trust as this dusty, boring legal document, think of it more like a magical, legally binding VIP vault.
I like that, a VIP vault.
Right. You take your house, you put it inside this vault, and you and only you get to decide exactly who holds the key.
That analogy actually tracks perfectly with the legal mechanics, because transferring a title directly to a person, like a child or a spouse, that's simple.
Right. Happens all the time.
But transferring it to a trust, which is a separate legal entity with distinct rights, almost like a person or a corporation, that is a total game changer.
It fundamentally changes how the asset is managed, right? Especially when it comes to distributing it after you pass away.
Exactly. The trust takes on a life of its own, so to speak.
So before we get into all the massive benefits of doing this, we really need to understand how you actually put your house into this VIP vault.
Yeah, we have to look at the blueprint. Who are the players, right?
Exactly. Who is who and who actually holds those keys? Yeah. So first up, the source material defines the grantor.
Sometimes called the settlor, depending on the paperwork.
Right, the settlor. And that is just the original homeowner. You, the person setting this whole thing up.
Simple enough. You grant the property to the trust.
Then you have the trustee. This is the entity, or the individual, who is actually managing the property for the grantor or the beneficiaries.
Right, the one turning the key to the vault.
Now, what's interesting is that usually the original owner names themselves as the trustee.
Yeah, and they do that to maintain control over their day-to-day life. I mean, you still want to manage your own house while you're living in it.
Makes total sense.
Okay.
But the guide also points out that often it's an adult child who gets named as a successor trustee.
Exactly. Someone who will eventually inherit the property just to ensure that the future generations benefit smoothly.
So how does this actually happen? Like, practically speaking.
Well, there are literal physical steps you have to take. It's not just a handshake deal.
Right. You have to create and sign a formal trust agreement.
And then, crucially, you have to sign a new deed. A deed that officially names the trustee as the new legal owner of the property.
And you can't just stick that deed in a drawer.
No. You have to send that signed deed down to the county recorder's office.
Which, of course, involves paying a recording fee.
Naturally, nothing is free at the county clerk's office. But that recording is what makes the whole thing legally binding in the public record.
Wait. So I have to essentially give my house away to this invisible entity, even if I'm the one who's technically in charge of it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yes. That legal separation is the entire point.
It still feels a little crazy, though.
It does feel counterintuitive, but creating that hard line between you, the physical person, and you, the homeowner, that is exactly what creates the massive protective benefits we're going to get into.
Okay, fair enough. So once you decide to build this vault, you have a major decision to make.
The biggest decision in the whole process, really.
Right. You have to choose whether the door to the vault is left unlocked or if it's permanently sealed.
Which dictates the two main types of real estate trusts: the revocable trust and the irrevocable trust.
Let's start with the unlocked door, the revocable trust, which is sometimes called a living trust.
Yeah, a living trust is super common.
And the defining feature here is that it can be amended or completely dissolved at any time.
Right. The grantor keeps total absolute control. You can usually act as your own trustee without any issues.
And it essentially acts like a will.
Yeah.
Right? Stipulating your wishes for what happens upon your death.
Exactly. It's an administrative tool for passing things on. But crucially, and the source material is very clear on this, there are absolutely no tax benefits with a revocable trust.
Wow. Zero.
Zero. Because it doesn't have a separate tax ID number. The IRS just looks straight through it.
Because you could just dissolve it tomorrow.
Right. To the IRS, you still own the house. But the upside is there are no annual maintenance fees or separate tax returns to file.
So it's administratively easy. But then we have the irrevocable trust, the sealed vault.
The heavy hitter.
Yeah. This one is permanent. It cannot be dissolved or changed without the express consent of the beneficiaries.
Which is a massive commitment.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Mhm.
Why on earth would you, or anyone for that matter, voluntarily choose an irrevocable trust?
It sounds kind of wild, doesn't it?
Yeah. Why give up permanent control of your own house?
It comes down to the concept of trade-offs. You are trading your personal control for maximum legal armor.
Legal armor.
Exactly. You give up the keys so that nobody else, not creditors, not lawsuits, can force you to open the vault.
Okay, so let's get into the ultimate payoff here.
Yeah.
Because answering that question of why give up control leads us right into the massive advantages of these trusts.
And these advantages are why estate attorneys are always recommending them.
First up, estate planning and probate. The guide calls this the biggest pro of all.
Without a doubt. A trust bypasses probate court entirely.
And we should probably emphasize just how brutal probate actually is.
Well, it's a nightmare. Probate is essentially a legal deep freeze on your asset.
Right, the court locks everything down.
It costs thousands of dollars in fees, it can easily take over a year to resolve, and it is a highly public process.
Meaning anyone can look up the details of your family's estate.
Exactly. Predatory buyers often scour probate records. But a trust allows a successor trustee to step in immediately.
So they can sell the home quickly and, more importantly, privately.
Exactly. No courts, no public waiting periods.
This is huge. But then there's the asset protection side, which applies specifically to irrevocable trusts.
Right. The legal armor we mentioned.
Because the property is in a permanently sealed vault, it's shielded from lawsuits and creditors.
Because it's literally no longer your personal property. If someone sues you personally, they can't touch the house.
Because the house belongs to the trust and ultimately the beneficiaries.
Exactly. It's a fantastic shield.
And then there's the tax magic.
Ah, yes. The
Yeah.
tax savings are incredible.
Irrevocable trust can be eligible for what the guide calls a stepped-up tax basis upon the grantor's death.
Which is a bit of accounting wizardry, honestly.
Yeah, can you explain that simply?
Basically, when you die, the IRS resets the value of the house to whatever it's worth on that specific day, rather than what you bought it for 30 years ago.
Oh, wow. So if it appreciated by $1 million, the kids don't pay capital gains taxes on that million if they sell it right away.
Precisely. It massively reduces estate and capital gains taxes when the house is eventually sold.
And lastly, it just provides continuity. It smoothly passes property down through generations without formal, messy transfers.
It just keeps everything in the family, quietly and efficiently.
So what does this all mean?
Well,
To me, it means a trust isn't just some legal filing. It is an active shield against taxes, courts, and creditors for your family's future.
that is the perfect way to summarize it. It's a proactive defense.
But of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
There's always an elephant.
Right. If trusts can dodge a year of probate, shield against lawsuits, and save hundreds of thousands on taxes, why doesn't every single homeowner have one?
Because nothing is free. There's always a catch.
Exactly. So let's talk about the cons, starting with the upfront legal fees.
Yeah, setting this up is not cheap.
The guide mentions you can find a do-it-yourself option online for around $500.
Which, honestly, is incredibly risky when you're dealing with a permanently sealed legal vault.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust a template for my house.
Right. Most people need an attorney, which means you're looking at several thousands of dollars upfront.
And it doesn't stop there.
Huh.
Complex irrevocable trusts actually need their own separate tax ID numbers.
Which means annual tax filings. You have to file a completely separate tax return for the trust every year.
So you're paying a CPA every year, too.
Yep. The administrative burden is real.
And then there's the biggest con of all, the loss of control and the permanence of it.
Right, because trusts are so complex, you really need ongoing legal advice to navigate them.
Like, if you have an irrevocable trust, the guide points out you might even face restrictions on renting the property out.
Or even making improvements to it.
Wait, really? Like, I couldn't just remodel the kitchen.
Not necessarily. If you don't technically own the house, making major structural changes might require the permission of the trustee or the beneficiaries.
That is wild, having to ask your kids for permission to update your own kitchen.
It's the trade-off for the legal armor.
Now, before we wrap up, we should briefly mention that trusts are actually very versatile tools. It's not just for standard homes.
Oh, absolutely. They can be highly customized.
The source material highlights a few other types, like charitable trusts, where the property eventually passes directly to a charity.
which comes with its own unique tax deduction.
And special needs trusts, which are really important.
Very important. They protect assets for individuals with disabilities without disqualifying them from government assistance.
Because they don't legally own the asset outright.
Exactly. The trust structure is doing the heavy lifting there.
There are also life insurance trusts for managing death benefits. So there are a lot of flavors here.
What's fascinating here is that setting up a trust, any trust, is really a delicate balancing act.
A balance between protection and freedom.
Exactly. You are constantly weighing the desire for asset protection against maintaining personal freedom over your own living space.
You tighten the security, you lose some autonomy.
Exactly. And this raises an important question for anyone listening. Given all these complexities and the literal loss of control over your property, who would you actually trust enough to name as your trustee?
That is a very heavy question.
It is. It requires absolute faith in whoever's holding that key.
Well, to summarize our deep dive today, putting your home in a trust is undeniably a powerful tool.
Highly powerful.
It ensures smooth asset transfer, it avoids the absolute nightmare of probate court, and it shields your property from creditors. But it requires upfront money, careful consultation with an attorney, and a true willingness to navigate some very complex rules.
It's a serious commitment. You don't just sign a paper and forget about it.
Which leaves us with a final sort of provocative thought for you to mull over.
I'm curious where you're going with this.
Well, think about it. If you place your home in an irrevocable trust to save your family from taxes and creditors, legally speaking, you effectively no longer own it.
Right. The paperwork says the trust owns it.
You might even need your beneficiaries' permission just to renovate the kitchen, as we said.
True.
It really begs a philosophical question. If the legal paperwork says the house belongs to a trust, but you are the one still sleeping in the bedroom, fixing the leaky pipes and paying the bills, who is really the master of your domain?
That is a great question. The law says one thing, but reality feels like another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us today.
It's been a great discussion.
And remember, if you are considering building your own real estate vault, definitely consult a qualified attorney to help you navigate it. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.